We are now joined by Mr. Rajiv Bajaj. He's Managing Director of Bajaj Auto and the speaker of this year's Sangal Symposium. Mr. Bajaj, thank you very much for granting us some of your time. Your company, Bajaj Auto, has moved from creating vehicles with 2 wheels to 3 wheels and now to 4 wheels. What is Bajaj Auto's vision for the future? 5 wheels?
Well, if I have to put it in a short way, I would say this. We are an anti-car company as a marketing position. So we think, and we would like people to think, that cars are too big, too fast, too unsafe, too not green, too unnecessary. And we would like people to believe that smaller, lighter, greener forms of transportation like bicycles, motorcycles, tricycles or quadricycles, which is the 4-wheeler. I have not thought of the pentacycle yet, but you have given me this idea now. But we think that such vehicles have a large role to play and they are continuing to be relevant in a world that is always short of resources, whether it's space, whether it's fuel or whether it's quality air. So I think such vehicles play a very good role in today's context, and therefore our business is about furthering the relevance of these vehicles.
You can do something better or you can do something different, and history will show that in a competitive environment, if you do something better, you are seen to be a me too, you are seen to endorse the leader to be a clone, and you get nowhere. When you do something different, you are noticed, but by definition, to do something different, you have to go against the grain. You have to be a little dismissive of the herd mentality. As someone said, if you want to lead the orchestra, you have to turn your back to the audience most of the time. And this is what happens. I mean, if you look at some of the great corporations and the great movements and the great organizations that exist today, and if you were to look at the earliest years of Microsoft, for example, you would find that for the first 3 or 4 years, they looked like they were going nowhere. I'm not so familiar as to speak about Google or Twitter or YouTube, but I would suspect that very often something that is truly different has a slow burn because it goes against the existing status quo. And I think that is what is true in principle of the Aam Aadmi Party.
That one way to look at our jobs is like this. There are some of us, and I count myself amongst them, who work inside the system. There are others who work on the system. We can describe it in another way. We work bottom up. Maybe the politicians work top down. I think sustainable, lasting change is created inside out, from within the system, bottom up. To that extent, I am not a fan, which to my perception are more top down or trying to work on the system. Because for the simple reason that I think they try to generalize too much and find one size solution for everything. Whereas I think different economies, different nations, different companies, different people are individualistic and need different solutions. So it should be a question of horses for courses, and I have seen in the last 20 years, trying to apply one solution for every problem across the world just doesn't work.
And I've been in business for about 23 years now. I have been largely indifferent to politics and politicians, if I might say. And my first meeting with Arvind was as recently as 20th of December, not more than 3 months back. But what I saw of him, what I heard him say, and the way he said it was very inspirational for 3 or 4 reasons. In Arvind's concept, I thought I found something that was holistic. Secondly, I read his book. I think the second time I met him at his office, he gave me his book and I read it. And I have always believed, based on my own experience at Bajaj, where we make motorcycles, in the fact that execution has to be bottom up. And Swaraj is all about bottom up execution. So I thought to myself, here's a guy with a good holistic idea. Here's a guy who understands and believes in executing things bottom up. Finally, I think the 2 great traits of leadership are courage and sacrifice. And I can say this with my hand on my heart. I saw them both in Arvind like I have not seen in any politician that I have seen so far in India. And by virtue of being part of the Bajaj family, I've met quite a few. This guy is courageous, doesn't need to be told. But look at the sacrifice. I mean, at a personal level, at a family level, in terms of what he's doing every day. And this is true. There is no virtue, I think, no human virtue greater than sacrifice. And I thought I saw Arvind as an embodiment of courage and sacrifice in his attempt to take the nation forward, so to speak. So I think these are some of the reasons why I was so inspired by him. And I actually said, I'm a fan of Arvind Kejriwal.